What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project X Talk Extra, where we cover news, games, whatever else that didn't quite make the main show. I'm your host, Kevin, aka the Muffin Mon, and today I'm joined by Mr. Physical Copy himself, Ethan. How you doing?
I didn't show my normal demeanor, my normal dance, my normal surprise that the camera's turning on. I think that sets the mood for today, for today's episode. I didn't like this at all.
Huh? All right. Well, if anyone's curious what we're talking about, and you for some reason didn't read the title before clicking on this, would be a strange choice. This is our Halo Episode 8 recap reaction video, whatever you want to call it. Every week we've been going through the Halo TV show, letting you know our thoughts, what we like, what we didn't like, and what happened during the actual show. 8 episodes in, this episode is called Allegiance. And I made the thumbnail before I knew what this episode was about, but yet pretty fitting. That's all I'm going to say.
It works.
It works great. So, Ethan, you kind of alluded to it, but I want your overall thoughts on this episode.
Yikes. A lot of plot twists that I just didn't want out of this show that just made it kind of meh. It seemed like a generic romance novel at times. There was a couple moments there where it was really fun to watch, though. I want to say, and I want to highlight those spots. I'll highlight them later. But overall, my general temperature for this episode, probably my least favorite episode of the season so far. We saw a lot of huge moments happen that I didn't think needed to happen, and I think they dropped the ball a little on this one.
Interesting. Okay, so I think I'm probably a little higher on this than you.
We never agree on these, do we?
No, we don't. I would say the first half of this episode is utter garbage. Not only is it utter garbage, it is a slap in the face to Halo fans. It is a disgrace.
It's like they were trying to shoehorn their own identity in, and it just made it look so generic.
Because I literally tweeted, what am I watching right now? Like, what is happening? And I texted my group chat with the guys watching Halo. I want to smash my TV at what they're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think that was the general sentiment of I read a lot on Reddit, a lot on Twitter, and a lot of people were not happy about the way things went here.
But the second half of this episode, I actually liked a lot. I thought it was pretty good. So it was a very mixed episode for me. I wouldn't say it's even, to be honest, it's not the worst episode of the show.
Oh, okay.
It's not even close to the worst episode of the show, and that's strange considering what happens at the beginning of it, which we'll go into now. So full spoilers are in effect, as is every episode. So we start the episode with Master Chief and Makee both staring into the mirror, reflecting on them, touching faces on the Halo ring. Chief is drawn a circle in the steam, and he's like just staring ominously. She's touching her face like, oh my god, he touched my skin. I'm so horny right now. No, seriously though, like that's I'm sorry to be crude, but that's totally what it is going on.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Master Chief storms into her room, and she rushes to see who's at the door, and oh my god, it's John. And he's like, first of all, he tells the guards to lead. He's like, you're dismissed. Get out of here.
Flexes on him.
They're like, we gotta stay with the squid head, which is like, what kind of
weird flex, but okay.
Weird slur. Okay. Yeah, is that like for her hair? Is that just what they call the Covenant? Like, very weird.
Who knows?
But so he dismissed those guards, and you know why? Because then he walks in, and is like, "You're gonna be able to touch the artifact, and then you can touch my artifact," which he didn't say, but
he dabs him up, and it's good stuff.
No, he walks in and tells him that, you can. I convinced. He went and saw them and was like, "We gotta let her touch the artifact, right?"
Yeah.
Like, or wait. Am I getting mixed up here? Do they go on a date first?
They go and they take a nice long walk in the park with beautiful flowers.
They go on a date for. He's like, "You're coming with me." He brings her a jacket, and he's like, "I saw you on the ring, and we're gonna go on a little date." So they go to they go to I don't know, Reach City. They're walking around the park. She's looking at all the humans and gets scared by a dog, right? And I'm like, just what I always wanted to see: Master Chief on a date.
on a date, walking slowly through a park with flower petals falling all around him. It was just like, ooh, okay, this is where we're going with this.
Right? So I'm like, okay. And then he's like telling her about humanity and is like, humanity is like worth saving because they have the like compassion and hope and the ability to
Right.
love and everything. She's like, all right, maybe I kind of get what you're saying, but look at me with those baby blues some more. Um, and then a soldier comes up, like, Chief, we need you. And turns out they go back to Reach, and an entire planet has been glassed. And this is the first time we see like actual devastation of the Covenant, where it's like the entire planet's just molten lava at this point.
Yeah, and I gotta say, great acting on Admiral Keyes' part and all the people in that room during that, because like you felt the effect immediately. Like, because we went from that scene where it was just like I was sitting back like, come on, and I was completely out of the show. I was completely like, this is just dumb. Like, this is so generic. And then that brought the intensity back. I'm like, okay, now we're in Halo. Now I'm watching the show again. So that was good that they put that in there. I'm glad they did that.
Well, you had the Admiral. She's like, oh, we got to send ships to like find survivors. And Commander Keyes is like, no, we're not doing that. There's no one left. Like we can't do that. And Chief's like, we need to take the fight to them. And they're like, well, how do we do that? And he's like, we need to use McKee. She can find the Covenant homeworld through the artifact. And they're like, we can't trust her. She was on a Covenant ship. And John's like, we're going to do it because you're going to trust me or whatever.
This was where it really was upsetting for me, because I'm like, really? Master Chief is that, malleable? He's that weak at this point? He spent not more than a week without his emotional dampener in his back, and he's already falling in love, completely getting blinded by things.
All it takes is staring at each other in a dream sequence longingly.
Yeah, I don't know. And they play the angle of there's a special connection between them, which obviously there is, because the artifact and everything like that. But it's just, was this necessary? I saw a lot of commentary saying this felt forced. This felt shoehorned, unnecessary. We talked about it, and I remember we were trying to justify it by saying it wasn't romance because we just didn't want it to happen.
We were like, maybe he was just checking to see if she was real. I think we said that.
And obviously everyone that thought that was wrong, we just wanted to think that. And it's unfortunate because it does feel really forced. It feels completely unnecessary. I don't see how it just kind of degrades the character of Master Chief. And this isn't me just saying like, oh, I know the Master Chief of the video games. It's like throughout this series, I've gotten to know this new Master Chief. And even this Master Chief doesn't seem like somebody that would do these things all in the matter of one episode that quickly. It's just kind of silly.
Yeah, he went from not trusting her at all to being to one interaction in some crazy dream state, and then fully trust her now. So then he convinces them to let her use the artifact. He goes to tell her. She's all excited, and then he touches her face again, and I'm like, oh God.
I saw it coming.
Please don't do this. And then they just start making out like hardcore,
macking. Yeah,
and I'm like, oh God, they're actually. I'm like, okay, do not have a sex scene.
Yeah, I was hoping he would push her off and be like, no, this is not what it like. That didn't happen.
And then literally the next scene, her shirt's already off, his shirt's coming off, and they're like touching each other's scars. She's like, look at your ripped body. And then he's like rubbing her back, like, oh, like, and then kissing her neck. And I was like, what am I? This is the point where I tweeted, I was like, what the hell am I watching right now? Like, what I'm watching.
It felt so sudden. Like, it just felt like it came out of absolute nowhere.
First of all, Master Chief was abducted as a child. So was this woman. They just lost their virginities.
Yeah.
Who else would they have had sex with? No one.
Good for him, I guess.
Yeah, got laid, I guess. But
yeah, it didn't need to happen.
But it was so uncomfortable because
what made it even more uncomfortable is that Cortana was watching them the whole time. And basically his mother was watching him the whole time.
We didn't even touch on that. So like Halsey has been watching them. Like they watched them on their date, and Cortana's like, so this is what was awkward, right? So they start having sex like off screen, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't really show it.
No booty cheeks this time. They've been showing a lot of booty cheeks throughout the series. This is interesting. No booty cheeks this time.
We just see the aftermath where, the classic laying in bed, tired, asleep.
Yeah, smoking cigarettes, it's no, not that
far. But presumably while the coitus is happening, Cortana, it has this very awkward expression on her face, like, because she's like, oh, they're like their levels and like all this like stuff. She's talking about their vitals and like it was
serotonin is high.
Super awkward. Like, really recent. He just released a bunch of oxytocin. I think he's really bonding with her. Like,
oh no,
this is super uncomfortable. And she's just like, I don't. Like, you could tell.
Halsey's just analyzing the data. Like, yeah, interesting.
Oh yeah, okay. So
John's you have her creepy assistant in the corner also looking around. Like, you're just like, oh, this whole scene, this whole interaction. One is shoehorned, forced, not needed, and it's just awkward and weird.
For sure. So they have sex, which, yeah, totally. Like, Master Chief, I know, would definitely have sex. Like, I remember all those Halo missions where he's stopping off to bang one of the chicks.
Yeah. Look, again, I want to make the point, because I know some people might come at us for this. We're not talking about the Master Chief from the video games. I'm talking about, I have gotten to know this Master Chief in the last 7 episodes. This doesn't make sense for him either. At all. No. I don't understand it.
No, it doesn't. And then we see a tonal complete shift in McKee's head over heels. All right. It takes one trip to the bedroom, Master Chief.
She fell in love with humanity.
She saw those master cheeks and she's on board. So, they're all coupley in love. And then this is where the episode takes a complete 180, right? Like, Commander Keyes comes in and tells Halsey, hey, you have to leave by noon. Like, you're done here. We're done with everything. Like, you're done with this project. She doesn't take that very well. No. She then proceeds with the help of her assistant to hack into Miranda's little whatever her workstation, because she copied her eyes in the last episode, and disables comms. And then we see her going to her ship with her little creepy assistant, and Cortana's there. Cortana disables all the communications so nobody can talk to each other. And this is about the same time we see Halsey interacting with McKee and like talking to her in her little cell, and is like, hey, humanity isn't great. Like, basically trying to convince her not to give the artifact to the UNSC, which was weird. Which was weird to me. Like, the other option, Halsey, like, right?
Yeah, like, this is where it got interesting again to me, because I like this angle of Halsey going rogue. And, it brings up that question, is she actually just gone absolutely crazy and she's sabotaging everything? Or does she have a very elaborate plan in mind? I'm really interested to see where we go from here.
Yeah. So she talks to McKee a little bit. Nothing of importance is really said. McKee gets pissed off, turns that off. And then she stares at her finger in the mirror for a long time.
No, that was after the sex scene. The finger.
Was it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So back up then, because I feel like we need to talk on this. Like, we've seen the little blade come out of her finger a bunch. And I just assumed that she had some sort of power within her to like make this energy. No, she had a fake implanted fingernail. She proceeds to rip out of her.
I had to look away. I couldn't do it.
Gross. It was gross. I just wanted to touch on that.
She ripped out the root of the fingernail. It went so deep into it. Oh, it was rough to watch. I didn't like that.
It was gross. So we can get back to the communication. So Halsey's going rogue. She's disabling comms, and then she's like, Spartans, activate Protocol Z.
Order 66.
Kill them. She basically orders the other 3 Spartans to get Master Chief. Cortana's going to knock him out, get him, get McKee, does she want the artifact? I think she wants the artifact too. I can't remember, but
I can't remember.
I know she wants those 2 at least. Get them to her ship, and then they're all going to leave together. Cortana, on the other hand, feels very uncomfortable about this. And, well, you could tell she's not all on board. And we also know that Kai was not on board, because she starts being like, we can't do this to Chief. And then Halsey tells the other Spartans, to beat the crap out of her
Yeah.
and handcuff her around like a stone pillar.
Yeah. It was really sad to see that, seeing Silver Team break up like that. I knew it was coming the minute they got that order. I thought to myself, Kai's not going to do this. She's not going to follow this order.
Yep. You know what's funny is the whole time that this was happening, I was thinking about us like in the initial episodes. I believe you were like, you can tell that Silver Team's like ride or die for Chief. And now
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think they were as ride or die as we
Well,
were led to believe.
is it about ride or die, or is it about they're just so, they have all these implants. They've been completely brainwashed. There's not much you can do for them.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So they take care of Kai, and then Cortana warns Master Chief before he steps into the trap. So
Yep.
he tells McKee to go get help, and then proceeds to get his ass kicked.
Oh, he got whooped.
To be fair, they're
he
in
put
their
up
suits.
a good fight.
Yeah, he put up a good fight,
impressive. Yeah,
but they're in their suits, and he's not.
Yeah. Yeah, and he got his ass beat, and we saw it coming. But I gotta say, when Kai came in, when she was able to break out of those cuffs, and she was able to get into this scrap, man, that was some cool combat footage right there.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Kai come in and just absolutely dominate at first, really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, this whole fight scene worked for me. Like I thought the whole all the action in this episode was awesome. Like
Master Chief was picking up 125-pound dumbbells and throwing punches with them. I mean, how cooler does it get? That was awesome.
It was pretty dope. And then McKee finally goes into the artifact room to try to get help. And at the same time, Miranda runs in. Miranda has finally figured out that McKee was the one on the ship that slaughtered everyone, and that was her voice doing the Sangheili. And McKee admits it, which doesn't go well for her. She proceeds to then get beaten down and shocked a lot.
And immediately flips back to not liking humanity again. Here's the thing. She's just constantly flip-flopping. Master Chief's constantly flip-flopping. What are they doing with these characters? Come on.
It was literally like, oh, I love Chief, so I love humanity. But then she immediately, like, first time, to be fair, she did slaughter a whole ship. So I can understand why they'd be mad. But also, maybe you should look into like maybe the Covenant made her do her or whatever.
You just re-radicalized her. Congratulations.
Yeah. So it doesn't go well. And then she grabs the artifact after saying like, you're all gonna die, basically. Like I'm gonna make sure that you die. And that sends an energy wave, knocks everyone out.
Which, if you paid attention, the sergeant that was zapping her was getting like burned.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, because he was still holding on.
Yeah, I don't know if that was because he was still holding on to her, or if that was happening to everyone in the room, maybe because we didn't see them either. So
I'm pretty sure it was because he was holding on to her when she grabbed it.
R.I.P. to Sergeant.
Rest in peace. And that's where the episode ends, right?
Well, it ends with them having another moment on a Halo ring where they got transported.
Yes, and she says goodbye.
Goodbye. So you can tell that she apparently has gotten over Master Chief pretty quickly. Quick turnaround. Good for her.
Hit it and quit it, girl.
Good for her. So obviously their relationship is over. I'm not sure what's going to happen next. I'm predicting the fall of Reach is what's coming next, and that's how they're going to end the season. So
I imagine she's going to signal to the Covenant, and they're going to come wipe out Reach, which is a very on the nose thing, which is great. Like I'll be not great for them, but like it'll be great to see.
It'll be a fun episode to watch for sure.
Yeah, hopefully, if that's what happens, who knows? We could get him just having a counseling session where Cortana being like, "I'm really sad. Like I thought she loved me."
Yeah, I know. Like, things are getting a little emotional and steamy in Halo. I guess that's where we're going with this.
First half of this episode so bad. Second half was pretty good. Didn't redeem it fully, but if you can ignore the first half, it was a pretty decent episode, I think.
Just skip over the romance. It's not necessary. You can do it. Watch the scene with her ripping her fingernail out, I guess, if that's your thing. But, skip over the romance stuff. It had absolutely no place because we're just back to square one now. That's we're just back to square one, and all of it didn't need to happen.
For sure. So I'm excited. I think next week is the season finale. It's been an up and down season for sure. Some highs, some really bad lows. But I'm excited to see where it ends, and then hopefully season 2 they can course correct. I was glad that no Kwan Ha was in this.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
wondering if they're
make it a
just done
thing.
with that for this season. I'm wondering if that's
I hope
their
so.
their B storyline. It's over. We're gonna focus on the main mission here.
I hope so. Anything else to say, Ethan, about the episode? I think our not much happened. Like it was a good it was
Yeah,
good, but like summing it up is very short. Like
yeah.
they
There
have
really
sex and
wasn't.
then
Yeah, there really wasn't a lot that happened. It was a lot of emotional, getting together, breaking up for the majority of the episode, which whatever. But obviously next week we're gonna do episode 9, and I'm assuming we're gonna do our full season thoughts in that episode. So,
yeah, we
or
probably
do we want
will.
to do that separately?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I don't know if we want to do the like a season 1
Either way, tune in
review
next week
or
because I'm assuming it's going to be a big episode, so
yeah,
it
yeah.
should be fun.
Episode 9 review next week to end the season. We'll probably end up doing season 2 just because, Xbox show, it's what we do.
Yeah.
But Ethan, where can people find you?
They can find me at WhiteCedar1 on Twitter and Gravy3448 on Xbox.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. It's a 1-7 iron, 0-7 A. Follow us at Project X Talk. And make sure you don't have sex with someone you just met that is a prisoner of war.
Genius.
That's the key there. Prisoner of war. That's where I'm leaving it. Goodbye, everyone.